Less than 3 weeks to the 2023 presidential election, and the state of the nation still leaves a lot to unpack. Now, from self-induced naira and petroleum scarcity in the current political drama in Nigeria, the country has become the center of the African focus. Security problems persist in the country, and the economy is still greatly struggling. Some 14,000 Nigerians also took shell to court over the devastating impact of oil spillage in the Niger Delta. Infants' deaths have also been reported from these issues as a result of this oil spillage. Rivers are contaminated and biodiversity in the region is dying. These and many more are the issues making the state of the nation at the moment. Also in Politics HQ, I have the senatorial candidate of the Boot Party in Edo State, who doubles as the chairman of the party in the state. He'll be speaking with me on representative politics and what he hopes to give the people of Edo North. But first, Ann-Kio Briggs, civil rights advocate, convener, Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement, joins me live. Good to see you, Ann-Kio Briggs, and thanks for your time as always. A whole lot's happening at the speed of light, almost, breathless, but again, with people like you, we're able to catch up with what is happening. Tell us, now the elections are just less than 3 weeks from now. How excited or otherwise are you?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I'm looking at the elections that is almost here now. We'll try to gauge what you think about the campaign so far.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on. And all right, the campaign, first of all, since 1999, I have been on ground and I have been around monitoring every campaign every 4 years. So in terms of knowing what happens in the Niger Delta and the feeling on ground, I think that I have gathered some exposure to that. In the Niger Delta area, definitely there are three main contenders, if you like, out there that have put themselves up. And out of all the three that have put themselves up, and if you look at what's been going on, the way that the campaigns have gone on, the insults, the unbelievable positions that some of them are taking, forgetting that we are the electorates and that we are the ones who are going to vote for them. They seem to forget that we have endured a lot in the past 8 years, and that we haven't forgotten what we have endured. And so some of them are taking the fact that they will win this election for granted, that they are not really on ground doing any type of electioneering. As far as I can see, in the Niger Delta area particularly, I keep hearing people saying, I have crisscrossed Nigeria. I have been everywhere. I've been to all the nooks and crannies in Nigeria. Well, I don't know where they go when they come to Rivers State or when they come to the Niger Delta. So quite honestly, we're very unsure of what exactly they are offering. We're very sure of what one particular candidate is saying. But what the other two candidates are saying, one is not really aware, wanting to take off from where this government is stopping is not a promise of any kind or any shape or any form. That does not mean anything if we remember what we have gone through. The pound, the rate of the pound, the naira, no fuel, the insecurity, the devastation of the Niger Delta region, the promise to have done something about it. Up till now, nothing has been done. So as far as I can see, I don't really see that any of them is going to win elections in a way in the Niger Delta that will make them to succeed.
Let me jump in here quickly, if you don't mind. Let me jump in here because you just said that they spoke about cleaning up the Niger Delta, and you said till this moment nothing has been done. And that brings us to those candidates, or rather these candidates, who all say they are out there to rescue Nigeria, to clean up and give hope back to Nigeria.
I mean, we in the Niger Delta, since 1999, and I did mention that right from the beginning of our conversation, that I have been on ground. And so every presidential candidate, whether they ended up winning the election or they didn't, have always promised us to clean up the Niger Delta. And if each of them have promised to clean up the Niger Delta, and they have not cleaned up the Niger Delta, I think that is very, as a failure, that is very glaring for us in the Niger Delta. So if you make promises about the Niger Delta and you have not kept any of those promises during your tenure, I really don't see how we are expected, unless we are fools, to come out on election day and vote for you. And look at the mess Nigeria is in right now today. We're even hearing so many things that there might be an interim government, there might be this, there might be that. I mean, these are the people looking for our votes, and they are the ones that are causing the confusion.
Well, you've been a big voice in Nigeria's Niger Delta, specifically in Nigeria's southern region. And I recall leading up to the primaries of many of the political parties, you also spoke on the need for the country to have a southern candidate. Let's ask you point blank, do you have a preferred candidate at the moment?
Of course. I mean, I'm an electorate. I have my... I registered to vote, and come that day, I will vote if I'm around. And if I'm not around, I will tell as many of my people as I can the candidate to vote for. But based on what I have seen so far, and based on justice and equity, bearing in mind the Yorubas have had 8 years, the Buhari has done 8 years, and he's come back to the south. I think that Obi is the one that will should get the votes of the Niger Delta people. But that's my opinion, and I do hope that a lot more people do have that opinion as I do.
Is it such a difficult thing for us to understand the problems of the country? Now, speaking of which, we'll go back to the region, which is very, very, dear to many Nigerians. The cleanup, which we're talking about, a lot of people have also, as you rightly said, used it as a campaign tool. But at the moment, you say you're there speaking to us from the Niger Delta, and nothing's been done. So what's the conversation like when these candidates come to your region to campaign and they see the devastation caused by, oil majors in that region?
If we're looking at the presidential candidates, I don't see how they come to River State, for instance, and they're coming to campaign in Port Harcourt, in the stadium, for instance, and they have not, to my knowledge anyway, they have not spoken to people who are in the places that has been devastated. People in Ogoni, people in Kola, people in Soku, people in Egi, people who live where there is a terrible devastation that can never reclaim. Thank you for these pictures. If you're not talking to people who are suffering from the effects of this, then who are the people that you're talking to, and who are the people that are going to vote for you? So that's why people like me exist. And to say to our people, you cannot vote for this person who promised to do something, or this political party who promised to do something and has not done it. And you want to give that person another chance of 4 years or 8 years. That will make us look like fools. And I don't believe that at this point, anybody in Nigeria, no matter what region or state you come from or ethnic nationality, I think by now people should begin to know that we're not fools, that there might be some of our people who work with them and give them the impression that we are fools, but there are also people like me that will continue to tell them that we're not fools. And I hope that people like me will succeed and make sure that our people are able to see what is black and what is white.
Well, I must say this at this point in time, you've given your life to fighting for the region to this moment, and kudos to you. But quickly here, let's go back into politics. You spoke about the Rivers State. You also spoke about Port Harcourt. And what readily comes to mind while you were speaking is the G5, headed or being led by the governor of your state, Nyesom Wike. Let's talk a little bit of the politics in the PDP and what you understand with the fight or the agitation within the G5 and the larger part of the PDP as it affects the region, specifically the southern part of Nigeria.
Well, again, taking it from 1999, when PDP became a political, well, PDP was it's a political party, was kick-started at that time. And the Niger Delta region, from that time, have always voted for the PDP overwhelmingly. They have voted for the PDP overwhelmingly. That is very, very clear. So taking it from that position, the Niger Delta region contributed a lot to sustaining the People's Democratic Party, sustaining the party in terms of supporting the party both at the local government level, moving all the way up to the federal government level. And we have the people of my region and my state have also always given financial support to the PDP. Now, when we look at the G5, we just should not look at the people who are the G5 and the personalities alone. We should look at who they are, what they contribute, and what led to the G5. What led to the G5, everybody is aware of that. Now, are the G5 correct in the positions that they have taken? Looking at it from their point of view, looking at it from a holistic point of view of justice and equity, coming from the Niger Delta. And if you remember, a few years before, maybe a year and a half before now, the 17 governors of the southern part of Nigeria, including governors who are members of APC.
Well, I think, there's a glitch in that connection. I hope I get Ann-Kio Briggs back. Can you hear me? Are you back? If you just you're watching Politics HQ, I think I'm having some interference in my PCR. Thank you very much. So you're watching Politics HQ here on New Central Television, and our conversation hovers around the politics of Nigeria and the developments leading up to the election this year, which is just about 18 days from now. Ann-Kio Briggs, good to see that you're back, and apologies, we lost you for a bit, and I hope we can push the conversation further, looking at where you left off, talking about the politics of the region.
Yes. So, okay, I'm sorry about that. The politics of the region have always favored PDP as far as the Niger Delta region is concerned. And the governors of the PDP of the Niger Delta region have contributed a lot to the development and the sustenance of the PDP party, as far as I know and as far as I am concerned. And so if you look at it from that point, then you have to begin to see it the way, that is why I see it the way that I'm seeing it, which is that power should shift to the south, and it should, because Obasanjo had 8 years, Yar'Adua had 3, Jonathan did one by whatever name they called it, and then he won a 4-year election for a 4-year tenure, and he lost it. Buhari came, and he's finishing his 8 years. So by right, it should rotate back to the South. Now, these governors of the South includes also the Niger Delta governors, and they agreed that the power should shift to the South. Now, I began to have concerns when they collapsed on that point and did not pursue it, and instead allowed power to rotate back to the North. And I think that's where the real problem for the PDP party started. And I'm not surprised that across the regions, taking Benue, that is really has always been in a terrible crisis when you come to the insecurity, the killing of people, displacing people, taking people's land, and so on and so forth. And then if you come down to the southeast, it's the same thing. And then you come into the Niger Delta region, it's also the same thing. So that they are saying that they had an agreement with the key pushers and movers of the PDP, and that for some reason, these people have gone back on the promises that they all agreed upon, is what the problem of the G5 is. And these are key. The middle belt has the Benue, which is the food basket of the nation. Anything that goes wrong there threatens the feeding of the nation. And then you look at Rivers State. Rivers State is a major producer. Delta State is a major producer. So is Bayelsa and Akwa Ibom. But they are not in the G5. But one very important governor is in the G5. There you go, NEPA. Thank you. It's in the G5. And so if you look at it and you look at their argument, I believe that they have a point, and I'm not surprised that they want to see it to the very end and see what comes out of it. And for that position, I personally, as a rights activist, I am behind that position that they have taken, that they've not been dealt the right card. You can't have the presidential candidate and also the party chairman coming from the same ethnic nationality, or coming from the same North, or coming from the same religion, or coming from whatever. As long as they are somehow the same people, I think there is an injustice there, and that's the problem that the PDP party is having, in my opinion, and from what I have seen so far.
Let's talk about how we started. You started by talking about petrol scarcity, non-availability of the Naira, and a few other things that Nigerians are going through. Perhaps if we can join, this with one of the key things you spoke about recently, which is President Buhari's call for restructuring, and you were trying to make a big point on that, saying, well, quite a number of things should be looked into the talk about restructuring Nigeria. Ann-Kio Briggs.
Yes. Well, you and I have had this conversation, this type of conversations when you were somewhere else, and so we have also touched on these delicate issues, but very, very critical and fundamental issues in Nigeria. And of course, very delicate, sensitive, and highly fundamental to the people of the Niger Delta region and the Southwest and the Igbos as well. We have been saying that let us restructure this country. Restructuring this country will take us to a position that is acceptable to everybody today, that was acceptable to the North in 1963, when they first found oil here, but before then, cocoa and foodstuff and all of that were and granules were the major issues, and timber and palm oil and all of that. And when it came to oil and gas, it became something completely different. So we're saying that let us get back, and that was the agitation before we started hearing about people wanting to break away from Nigeria, before we started hearing the Yorubas haven't gone so far in, and with people like Nnamdi Kalu coming up and all of that. We've had this call that let us restructure the country. If we restructure the country, it will take us back to a point that is acceptable by us and seems to be fair, because others have had that. A lot of people reference the 1963 Constitution, which seems to be fair and adequately compensation to the people. Now, if you look at that, and you look at what is happening, what is going on today, to the point where a lot of people from different parties and different regions of Nigeria, have said one time or the other that anybody calling for the agitating for restructuring or resource ownership, that they are ignorant, that they don't love Nigeria, that they are troublemakers. You know, when that sort of rhetoric is what we are hearing, when we are actually genuinely asking for the same treatment that others have had in the past, I have to be able to stand up and make that point that there is nobody that has called for restructuring of Nigeria that I would consider ignorant. Number one, I am part of those people, and I came into activism, if you like, with that position. As far back as 1998, I became active in activism, talking about the environment and the political rights of everybody in Nigeria, and also the political rights of the people of the Niger Delta region to be at the top of the affairs of Nigeria, which we have had for 4 years. Now, if you will consider, if anybody will refer to somebody like Pa Adebanjo as ignorant, Pa Ike Clark, and so many other people and these people have contemporaries in the north. They have people like Tanko Yakasaya, who was in the same committee in the national dialogue that we had in 2014. I was fortunate to be in that committee where the late Kumasi, the former IG of police, was there. Victor Atta was there, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State. Junaid Mohammed, the late Junaid Mohammed was there. Professor Nwosu was there. There are so many people. The late Tunde Braithwaite was there. So when you look at people like that, and you say you refer to them as being ignorant, I think that's highly disrespectful. And, you know, you can be older than me and you can disrespect me by the way you refer to me. And I can be disrespectful if I refer to you in that manner, whether I'm older than you or you're older than me. So in the way of talking to politics in Nigeria, we should we should advise ourselves to stay away from
I think I get the point. I really hope that we'll come back, and it's a promise, we'll come back to look at this again, because it's quite huge and it's quite a concern for many Nigerians, but sadly I'm out of time now. I'd like to thank you for your time, and again, apologies for the glitch during the course of the program. Ann-Kio Briggs, many thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good evening.